once you break it loose. Welcome back to Superior Drift Garage. My name is Chris, which you guys already know. So since I really don't have anything to do on the drift car right now, and we're going to do something else, I decided to help out some people, and we're going to change the power steering hose, the high pressure power steering hose that basically runs from the pump all the way to the other side somewhere. I don't even know where, I have not even looked at it. And oil cooler seal. Those are two things on the list for this customer. Let's do a DIY. Why not? Let me show you how easy or hard this might be, because I don't even know myself. I have not done it. I haven't done any research on this whatsoever. So let's try. Let's give it a shot. Drain the fluid and see what we can do. As for step one, secure the car on jack stands. Well, lift it, because you're gonna have to get underneath. Secure the car on jack stands or put it on the lift. That's what I did. I put on the lift. So I prepped myself a little container over here to drain the excess fluid. So let's do that first. I literally hate those stupid clamps, compressed clamps, whatever the hell you call them. Cannot stand this shit. In such case, smaller booger picker will actually do a much better job. So you can actually poke it in there. Hopefully not your finger, of course. Step two, I will remove the coolant tank, simply because you will have more room to actually access this side, especially that we have to have I think a 22 mil to actually get that big bolt off. But anyway, one bolt over here, and it just slides out. Let's put this on the side for now. Sometimes when it's all, I would say, cooked up pretty good over here, it's been on here forever. It seems like this one has been here since 2008, because that's the year model of this thing. It will be hard for you to take it off. Once you break, I would say, the seal by using your booger picker, you go all the way around. It's still pretty hard to take it off, simply because of the hose being hard and old. But I would recommend doing what I learned in trucks, actually. I'm working on trucks all the time. Very easy. Grab pliers, and like this, for example, is a 1/2 inch. Align it, lock your pliers onto the actual metal part, and slide it off. A little more, and here we go. It's nicely being drained. So once the tank is empty, I'll put the hose back on. Probably we won't, yeah, I don't think we're gonna have to remove it, but that way I will get this hose kinked up over here somewhere so it doesn't get in the way of getting the big bolt. Once the fluid is all drained, or pretty much mostly drained, so we don't have anything in the tank, what I would do is secure the hose basically by putting it somewhere around here. Step 4. Once the car is up in the air, I will remove with a 10 mil socket. I will remove all those plastics over here, basically to get the best access as possible underneath that car. So everything has to go. It looks like everything is 10 mil. Yeah, everything is 10 mil. So let me get this off, and here we have some plastics as well, so just a screwdriver will work. Whoa. This is our power steering hose, the high pressure hose that goes from up there. It's running towards the back of the car. I believe it goes over here and around into the steering rack. So number 2 is a leaking oil cooler seal. It's quite weird, actually. I've never seen an oil cooler like this, but I guess there's a seal that joins between the housing and the actual other housing itself. So we're going to have to remove this filter, probably get the customer a new one, and drain the oil. Next step, what we have to do is drain the oil. To drain it, you need a 14mm for such a small application. What I would do is actually get one of those adapters, put it in, and then turn it. But we have a problem here actually. This car came straight from a dealership where they actually assessed the damage and they told the customer that this is what has to be done. But the funny thing is, I don't really need this adapter to take the filter off. Like, I didn't even get it loose and it's already loose. So I'm thinking that might be another problem that we have. Also, I checked to see what oil goes in this thing, if it's synthetic, non-synthetic. Dealership did not leave any information on that whatsoever. What you need to unscrew this threaded over here adapter, and you need a 22mm socket. Apparently I have only one of those because I'm a truck mechanic, not really a car mechanic, but if it's in here, we'll make a turn. Wow, everything is pretty much loose. I didn't have to use any force whatsoever. Probably that's one of the reasons why it's leaking, because everything is extremely loose. Of course, we got more oil dripping. This is our gasket O-ring that we need to replace. Let's put this on the side for now. Let's take a look. And I use my booger picker to remove that. Here you go, it falls off. It's good. This is when I would actually use the brake cleaner to clean off, so that way we know for a fact that no oil is going to get contaminated, or none of the brake cleaner will get actually into the engine. So let's spray everything nicely, wash it off beautifully. Line that's actually leaking. In order for us to do that, we have to take off many 10mm bolts. So what we're going to do, we're going to use preferably a wrench, maybe with a swivel head ratcheting, so it's actually easier to get things done, and a small 10mm ratchet with a socket. Right over there, what we have is a plug sitting on a sensor. So that plug and that sensor, I mean, obviously the sensor has to be transferred to the new line and the plug has to be unplugged before we do anything else. Most of the clamps that actually hold the lines is basically a 10mm, followed by a metal bracket that you just can pry on, and that way you can pull out by separating the line right over here on the crease, or whatever you want to call it, basically separating the rubber piece in order for this to come out. But the line goes over here underneath. That's going to be a pain in the butt to actually pull out, which we will see very soon. But before we get to the pain in the ass, in order to take this off over here, what you will need is any kind of a 14mm. It could be either a deep socket or shallow socket, or it could be a wrench. Whatever the hell floats your boat, that's what you gotta do just to get this loose and take it off. But remember, there's still oil in it, so it will leak, just like this one is leaking. This banjo, there's two banjos, one in the front, one in the back. This is the front one, I would call it. So now what we have to do is take this bolt off. It is going to be a 24mm. I would definitely recommend using an extension. So just an extension in order to get this nicely loosened up. This one is not going to be that easy. Once you break it loose, it's yours, it's free. Here's our banjo bolt. In order to remove the sensor from the electrical line, what you will need is a deep socket, 24mm, goes nicely right over it. Once it's loose, you can pretty much just take it off. But remember, there's an O-ring on it, inspect the O-ring in case you need to replace the O-ring with a new one. All right, my friends, so I got the line out. It wasn't easy. I probably should have taken more things off, or probably dropped the beam over here a little bit, the front beam. Decided not to do that because that's a lot of unnecessary work. So what happened, I loosened up the engine mount. What that allowed me to do is basically get the car, the engine a little bit higher, so there's more room between the axle and the actual cross member and everything else to get the line through. In order for you to get this line through, there is a trick to it. Let me get the slide over here. When you work the line slowly in between the transfer case and actually the axle beam, you have to play a little bit with this line over here. That's the other hose that goes into the power steering rack. Play with it because it will get in your way. And the other thing is you have to work the hose upwards, because it has so many curves and bends that you have to work the hose upwards and then down, up and down. It's a little bit hard for me to show you, but it is doable if you raise the car, raise the engine only on one side. I wouldn't raise it extremely, not to damage anything, but raise it just enough. Yeah, so that way you have just enough room to feed this in. So now let me feed the new hose in and see how everything goes. Reassembly is basically the same thing. I would recommend catching this bracket over here first, so that way we know that this is going to go the right way. It is normally possible to feed this line once the engine is a little bit raised, so I have to put the nut in there and get everything tightened. Comes over here, next secure point right here, then pull the rubber of the old line, put on here and secure that as well. There you go. Then I'm going to mount the bracket in a second, and then just mount this right here. Ensure that you put the new copper washers on here, so that way we don't have any leaks. Then apply this bracket over here, because that way you can actually adjust it, so it's easier for you to put it in. Next bracket, then the one on top, then going to this one. And now since we have this hose over there already, I would like to bring it down just like that, in order for us to install that sensor that we need to put in there. But we need to replace that O-ring so that way we do not have any leaks by any chance. I don't like to take chances, so let's get that done. Get this hand tight nicely. Remember your new copper washers on both sides. They do come, oh shit, wrong way. They do come with the new line. Hopefully you guys get the good line, because I saw some cheap piece of crap lines out there. Just take our power steering hose, put it back on. I try not to ever put in the same position, simply because it might not compress as good as it should, so just a little bit further works well enough. Let's make this nice and quick. There you go. Now the car is pretty much officially almost ready. Just need to check all the fluids, add fluid to this, and get going. So let me show you guys the most useless dipstick I've ever seen in any car. Obviously we're looking at an FX35 over here. So dipstick goes in like that. Kind of hard to get a good view on it, but anyway, so it's a dipstick, right? It should show oil level. Once you pull this out, it's like a maze of steel, metal, whatever. But anyway, I cannot for the life of me read how much oil is in there, because it will, it's unreadable. Like, there's oil over here, there's oil over here, there's oil over here, there's oil all over. So let's see this. I'm gonna clean this off, clean it off nicely. All right, let's say it's all nicely, perfectly clean. I'm gonna feed it in. Of course, getting in there is pain. There we go. It's in. Let's pull it out to check the oil level. Seems like we are right here. And we are right here. We are full. Or are we more than full? I can't really tell. I can't tell. Yeah, so thanks Infinity, or Nissan in this case, for making the world's the most useless dipstick ever invented. It is a pain in the butt to actually get it changed. If you are unable to lift the engine, you might have to pull an axle shaft out in order to get those hoses out. Otherwise it's really difficult. I don't even think it's possible in any other way. So it's either lifting the engine or taking off the axle. I decided to lift the engine because it was quicker. It's just one bolt holding the engine on this side. Lifted it for about, let's say, maybe an inch and slightly more up, just enough to get the hose through, and that's the only way I could do it. Well, thanks again for watching Superior Drift Garage. This time it wasn't a BMW, it was an Infinity, but it was a fun project. One of the more difficult ones when it turned out to be a pain in the ass, sort of drop a axle or axle beam, or I'm not sure exactly. But anyway, thanks for watching once again. Hopefully you guys found this useful, and until next time, thanks again. Like, share, and subscribe. See you guys later.